Dog.
Mike, it's good to see you again, except it's a very sad day to be a podcast host in America. No
It
football
is.
for 7 months. What are we going to talk about?
I don't know. It's a rough time, and I feel like I was telling you before the show, we go out on a rough note because you don't actually get to watch the game on Super Bowl Sunday when you're hosting a party. You don't get to enjoy it like you would any normal Sunday when you're watching like 12 games. But this is the one game you put the most money on, you bet the most, you're invested so heavily in this game, and it's hard to watch when there's a lot of people around.
Well, tell the people who you invited to your party. You invited children under 1 year old. You
Yeah,
invited women who don't care about football. You invited Taylor Swift's biggest fans. You invited
yeah.
men who don't understand football. Mike, you didn't invite the greatest guest list here.
I know. I was telling Aaron in bed last night. I'm like, next year let's just put on a random Super Bowl, have it on a Saturday, and just call it the pre-Super Bowl party. And we do everything like we do in a Super Bowl. We even have a halftime
Put an
show.
old Chiefs win up there so all the
Yeah.
Chiefs girlies are happy.
We just play a random halftime show that anybody wants to watch, and just call it a day. And then I can sit alone and watch the game. It's tough. It's tough watching. I really did want to watch more of the game, but it was hard. You had to watch kids and run around and host.
Mike, I was the opposite. I had zero distractions except my iPhone. I was
great.
watching alone because that's what you do on the East Coast when the game starts at 6:40.
late,
It
yeah.
ends at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. Like Sunday scaries were in full effect during the game last night. And so I wasn't going out, wasn't drinking too much, was eating a lot of food. I could watch the game. I could actually concentrate on it. I wish I couldn't. I wish I had distractions. I wish I had kids running around. I wish there were things going on. I was snowed in actually for the Super Bowl, as a lot of us here in the Northeast were. Couldn't even leave and go on a walk if we wanted to. So stuck watching a terrible game. I got my Eagles green on. I'm not mad.
Whoa.
The Eagles won. The Travis Kelce jersey stayed in the closet all
Okay.
weekend, did not touch it all season long, Mike. I was not rooting for them by the end of this. It was too much Chiefs, too much Dynasty, too much refs carrying them, too much of how is Mahomes doing this? They're not even that good this year. It all showed up last night because they weren't very good all season. They just happened to make it to the Super Bowl.
So, well, tell me what you think about the game, because I think overall it was a lot of buildup. I wish people would tell me this before I placed my bets on the game, and hey, you shouldn't bet on the Chiefs this game. You should bet.
Oh, you want them to tell you who's going to win?
Well, I mean, if everybody's now saying well, obviously they're bad all season. How did they win any
Mike,
games?
you watch the games. Your eye test is as good as anybody.
know.
When the Broncos nearly beat them
I know.
and the Broncos
I know.
missed an extra point or something, that's when I knew these Chiefs weren't the same.
So, all right. So basically, I don't think this. If we want to talk, let me talk about Mahomes real quick. I want to say this is not a ding on his GOAT status. I think he is still a great quarterback and will be there again. And also, this kind of goes back to the halftime show too, because everybody's like, "Oh, Kendrick took down Drake," but guess what? When you're on top, everybody's coming after you. And sometimes you fall down, but you get right back up because you are a champ. You are a GOAT. So Mahomes and Drake, they're the GOATs, and they will be back.
What an opening take by Mike. Mahomes
Okay.
and Drake. First of all, no one is saying Drake is as successful in his career as Mahomes is, right? No one actually says that.
No. I'm comparing Kendrick and Drake, and then Jalen Hurts and Mahomes. Mahomes will be back, and Drake will be back. They will both be back on top at some point soon.
I just want to clarify, no one is calling Drake the greatest of all time like we call Mahomes that, right? No one's saying that?
I mean, Drake's pretty good. He's been around for 15 years to almost 20 years.
How many Super Bowl halftime shows has he done?
Guess what? Doesn't matter. You don't need it when you're that big. You don't need a halftime
We're
show.
going to talk about Kendrick Lamar. I love your Mahomes take to a degree. Yes, he'll be back.
Okay.
Yes, he's still great. Yes, all those things. But this is a blemish on the GOAT's resume that we can't call him the GOAT any longer. Mike, the real GOAT, Tom Brady, was in a very similar situation to Patrick Mahomes of a Super Bowl, down a lot of points in the first half. And Tom Brady won that Super Bowl. This time, Mahomes didn't show up until late in the fourth quarter when he started throwing touchdowns.
That was garbage time.
This was embarrassing. This was garbage time. Their offense did not click. Andy Reid, I was thinking Andy Reid should have taken a shot at Magic Mind before this game, because that man was lacking creativity, was lacking focus during the game. His play calling, to Mahomes' happy feet in the pocket, to not running the ball, to the old man receivers not showing up after they went there to win a championship. Every way you look at it, the Chiefs didn't show up. It was a terrible Super Bowl.
So I just think it's the way everybody was talking about it and what happened. It seems like obviously Eagles had a great game plan. They were spot on. They knew exactly how to attack Mahomes. It looked bad. And there's a lot of stats that you should have looked at, and we should have also bet along with. Every time Brady's in the building, Mahomes loses.
Yeah.
Played him a few times, lost.
Yeah.
Brady's, in the booth.
We should
He
have known.
lost.
Brady is Mahomes' kryptonite. And it makes sense. If Brady's the GOAT and there's a young GOAT coming for the old GOAT's going to stand in his way as much as he can. We all know that Brady has some witchcraft going on, the way he sucks energy from his kids and all this stuff. Like, Brady may have put a spell on Mahomes.
And then the other one was, I think it was the last 10 years, every team that travels like west or east or whatever is the one that loses. In whichever way Kansas City traveled, technically I feel like it's like very little east or whatever, but whichever one's traveling the furthest seems to be the loser, and it's spot on again. So there's a lot of trends, and I'm adding this to the manifesto. I'm ready for next year.
Yeah.
And I felt like a lot of my emotion, I was like, I want the three-peat. I want him to win again. I won a lot of money on him last year. Felt like it blinded me a little bit. I'm not getting blinded anymore. And I didn't bet a lot on the game too, because I was nervous. I was like, I feel like my fandom is getting in the way of actual bets.
Well, next year, San Francisco, listen, we cannot be betting these East Coast teams, right? We can't bet the teams that have to fly 6 hours to the game. If the Rams or the Chargers or one of these West Coast teams makes it, crown them already. Put all your bankroll on them, because it's a shorter trip, like you said. We'll get to San Francisco next year. I don't know. This was just a really ugly game. I don't know if you can really draw a straight line to like saying that you bet poorly on it. I don't know. It's like we all saw the Chiefs not playing well all season. We knew this was possible. I just didn't think the Eagles and Jalen Hurts were going to be the team to flip the script.
It's just like, we always like say, oh, like Mahomes so great, but it's like the Eagles had all these great players. They had great wide receivers. They had one of the best running backs in the league, maybe the best. They had Jalen Hurts. They had the tush push. There's like all these things you could not beat, but we saw them struggle against like the Commanders and a rookie quarterback. Why did that happen? Why are these games like that? Why did they lose the first like two games or first of the two games?
Well, they sent them to Brazil. Talk about long travel. The NFL sent them to Brazil early on. That was one of their few losses all season. So losses in America -1, because you're not even counting the Brazil game.
True.
I totally agree. I love the idea that Brady is the kryptonite, but the thing is, Brady can't do another Super Bowl for Fox or for anyone.
Oh, you listened to the most of Brady. I could barely hear.
I did.
How
He was uncomfortable. He's like an awkward person at dinner who's like not flowing in the conversation, but like coming in and out at weird intervals. Maybe talks too much or too little, brings a weird amount of energy to the answer. That's Tom Brady, yet he does it in front of 70 million people on Fox. I think $1 per viewer last night is what Tom Brady made this year. I don't think he should do another one. We know Terry Bradshaw said he's retiring after the next Fox Super Bowl. I know you're sad about that. Jimmy Johnson, I don't know what this was about. They did a big tribute to Jimmy Johnson on the pregame show. You were hosting people. You may not have seen this.
I did not.
And then they go, Jimmy, is this your retirement? And Jimmy goes, I'm not sure yet. And so he's not sure if he's retiring, but they ran the montage like he is. So I think they're opening a spot for Brady. He's going to sit next to Gronk and Edelman. It'll be a whole Patriots table on Fox in the next year or two.
Yeah. So wait, Fox gets it. What is it? Every like 3-4 years?
Every 4 years now. ESPN is in the mix. They're going to carry their first Super Bowl ever coming up in a few years. Of course, next year, as you know, it's on NBC. Yeah. It's during the Winter Olympics. That's a big moment for NBC and Peacock. Some people will be very busy next February, Mike.
Yeah. Do you if you happen to have any connections, do you get invited to the game? Do you get tickets?
No, I'll be working the back rooms as one does. But Mike, you mentioned winning and getting a lot of bets out there. We both had a big night of winning squares. We both took home $250 in squares. Congrats.
It's pretty good. I've never won our home square, the one that mutual friend puts on. I've never won that one.
Yeah.
I don't know why I invest so much in it. Next year I'm just gonna buy like 5 and call it a day.
But you won a square this year.
I bought multiple squares. I bought squares for James. I bought squares for Aaron.
You won it in a different pool. That's
I won it in Heinz's pool.
In our Austin, our Texas friends pool.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was happy for you. And it almost hit again. If Mahomes didn't throw a 40-yard touchdown to Xavier Worthy with 30 seconds left in the third quarter, we were going to make an extra few bucks there. But we'll take what we can get, because squares are random and we don't deserve it, but we're happy to have it. By the way, Mike, another way I made some money was in our Super Bowl draft. We started with the playoffs. Yeah. The Eagles beat the Chiefs. I believe you might owe me $40 for that after a little texting back and forth yesterday.
We were trying to figure out where you sent me this like random list of people to score touchdowns. I don't even know. I should go back and check. Did you see who scored?
Well, the Chiefs didn't score any touchdowns, right? I mean, Worthy may have had one or two, so I think I would have won it based on Worthy.
Yeah.
I was trying to give you Kelsey. I know you like Gray and Hopkins. I was trying to like make the bet for you. I was trying to take the other guys like Worthy and Juju Smith-Schuster, who did nothing, and Hollywood Brown, who did nothing. The Chiefs did nothing. It was It was ugly, but I won our playoff pool, which I feel like doesn't normally happen.
It does, yeah. I think this is the first one in like maybe 3-4 years you've actually won. We
Yeah.
didn't swap this time. You took the Eagles. You were scared. You're like, I don't want to take the
I
Eagles.
know, I didn't even want them. But
Yeah.
then, Mike, yesterday morning, my buddy from Orlando texted me, and he went to the Super Bowl. He took his young son. They're big Eagles fans.
Oh, nice.
And they met Saquon Barkley at breakfast. Saquon was randomly having breakfast outside the team hotel the morning of the game. He took a picture with Saquon the morning of the Super Bowl,
That's
like
crazy.
the same day. Then they go out and win. It was like destiny from that moment for my buddy.
That's cool.
So shout out to Ryan Griffiths in Orlando.
And he did win our Survivor pool or whatever, Pick'em pool last year, right? Or 2 years ago?
That's a different friend, but yeah,
Different
Orlando
friend.
is just cleaning
Yeah.
up all the successes.
Your friends are just
for
cleaning up.
for the Orlando friends. We have to get to halftime. Mike hates Kendrick Lamar.
Wait.
He doesn't want to break this down. Yes.
Yes, before we do, let's talk Magic Mind.
Yeah.
Because I feel
Andy
like
Reid needs it.
Yeah, I just want to say I went out the other night and I really needed a boost in the morning and I took some.
Let's just pause right there. Mike sent me a picture of this night out, folks. It was something. This was a big night out for the old man.
It was a big night. It was like a celebration for my birthday. It was a little late. I was like, let's go out. And I really needed to like wake up. I got a kid now. There's no like hangover days. It's just, you got to be on. Magic Mind helped me. I love it so much. I'm trying the sleep one too. Really helped. Really like just like settles you in. You're ready. Good deep sleep. I have an 8 sleep mattress too. No, there's no promo there, but it tracks my sleep.
Welcome to be one.
Yeah. And it tracks my sleep, and when I take it, I get 100% score when I take the sleep formula. Wow. Now I know, I don't know why, but it works. Also, the Magic Mind Performance one works. If you want to try it out, you can get it at magicmind.com/TSH. You get 20% off first time purchase, and then 48% off any subscription. Do the subscription. You're going to want it anyways, and it's a better deal. So
truly, we both tried it. We both really vouch for it in real life. We both enjoy it. It helps us. It helps us on Mondays, especially Super Bowl Monday. Mike, we are the sports hangover. It's all about the hangover of sports. There's not a bigger hangover day than Super Bowl Monday all year. Magic Mind was getting people through work, through productivity today, across America, across the world. And get it now. Maybe for next Monday that you don't feel your best.
Yeah.
Maybe for this little stretch of there's no football to watch. You're going to be super depressed on Monday mornings going to work. Get your Magic Mind going. Get your mind right. Get ready for the work week and then party on the weekend like you like to.
Magicmind.com/TSH. 20% off one-time purchase and 48% off subscription.
We
Talk
love
to me
it.
about halftime.
Halftime show, it wasn't Drake. It was Kendrick Lamar. So backstory here is Mike is the biggest Drake fan anyone has
I'm a big
ever
Drake
met.
fan.
There's no one that's a bigger Drake fan than you. You're known as that. I'm the Nickelback guy. You're the Drake guy.
I'm a big fan of Drake. Listen, there are Kendrick songs I enjoy. I like the diss track against Drake. It's great. I just felt like the halftime show wasn't meant for a live TV audience. I think if you were in the stands watching it, maybe, but it felt like it was not meant for TV. And I don't know how you feel, but I wasn't enjoying it. I was like, what are these, some of these songs, like, what are these songs? You're not playing your hits. You're playing these like random songs that not a lot of people know. So how'd you feel about it?
It should have been produced for TV. Like we said, there's 70 million people or so watching the game. There's much less inside, maybe 70,000 at the maximum. It should be produced for the TV audience. I liked most of the music. I liked most of the songs. I had no issue with that. And this is also the part of the podcast, Mike. We should just clarify. We are two white boys with varying lacks of culture around us. And we are probably not the best person to comment on the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. Because I know there's a lot of jokes like on First Take about Shannon Sharp making fun of Dan Orlovsky's comments on it and whatever. So we're two white boys talking about Kendrick Lamar and Drake. But Mike is an expert, so he does have good takes here. I thought the music was great. I agree with you. The performance was not up to par of what a Super Bowl halftime should be. The glitz, the
Like
glamour,
Rihanna.
the budget,
Yeah.
the guests, the entertainment, the crazy factor. Like he's not flying through the air or anything. He was on the ground the whole time, just kind of going from set to set. The dancers were, a lot of them, they were in questionable outfits. That's fine. I just felt like it was lacking like budget, lacking like big time Super Bowl mojo. And that was an issue.
It just felt like it wasn't meant for this large of an audience. And listen, Kendrick is a rapper. That's what he's known for. He's a rapper. He's not a pop star like a Drake or a Taylor Swift or a Lady Gaga. He is a rapper, and he's great at it. He is a good rapper.
I'm glad you can say that. I didn't think you'd come on here and say he's a great rapper.
Of course,
honestly.
yes, of course he's a good rapper. That's the thing I think is hard. Like he does have hits like that are poppy hits. He has a song with Drake. He has a song with Taylor Swift. He has those songs, but he chose not to play them. Now, seems like there was like a lot of hidden messages. Like you can go online and see like he was talking about like Donald Trump, the revolution would be televised.
Which Trump was there. Like he could have
Yeah.
come out and said things right to him, and he didn't say that. So you got to
Yeah.
give him credit for at least going between the lines, not on top of the
And
lines.
the only thing I think is that since Apple Music is operated by, I think, heavy influence by Dre, which also Dr. Dre and Eminem, that halftime show, amazing show. That was like our
That was in
demographic,
Detroit.
millennials.
That was incredible.
That was a great one.
Yeah.
This one felt like, I felt like it was a stretch. Like, does he have those pop songs? Felt like Dre really wanted him there because I felt like Dre was the one that kind of brought him up and brought him into it. So I don't know. I just think it wasn't my favorite. Listen, I could barely hear it either. So that was also a problem. People were talking
Go
amongst me. I
back
was like,
and rewatch it.
turning the TV way up. I'm like, I can't hear, guys. Like, shut up a minute. It was tough. So
It was no Rihanna. We can all agree
No.
on that. It was no Riri. Even our
was no
lawyer
Riri.
friend would agree to that, and he didn't even like that one. Good music, low budget, low entertainment. I'm looking for something much better. I've got my eye on someone in San Francisco for next year's Super Bowl.
Oh, who you got?
Sabrina Carpenter is gonna light it us up
That'd be
with
great.
espresso. I think she's gonna do espresso at the Super Bowl.
But I think always about these like halftime shows, it always feels like it's a more established artist that's been around for a while that they put up because they have a large, like a spanning generational audience, right? Like you put up Eminem and
But
Dr.
does Kendrick
Dre.
Lamar span generations,
No,
or maybe
well, that-
for one genre, right?
Yeah, I don't think he does. And that's why
Right.
it's like Rihanna, like she hasn't put out music in years, but everybody's like, I know all these songs. I know these, this is what's going to happen. But I don't, Sabrina Carpenter feels like a stretch.
Do you have a prediction? Do anyone to throw out? San Francisco, I don't know if it's like a local act. Doesn't make sense. I like, by the way, how they did the whole New Orleans thing before the game. That was like a nice flavor.
Yeah. I'm trying to think local. The only person I can think of up there is like E40. So maybe you could do like a whole bunch of people, but I think he might be a special guest.
It's tough. Tough.
Yeah, I don't
headliner.
know.
You lived in Oakland for a while. What about Oakland? Like that, there's a whole rap scene in Oakland.
Oh yeah,
too,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I don't know. I gotta think. I'm like trying to think. Well, it's also up to Apple Music too, right? So it's almost like who do they want to push?
Who do they want to push harder? Who's
Yeah.
struggling? Needs some record sales.
I'm gonna get
that
back to you on that one. I'm gonna look and see who.
We have 7 months before NFL starts again, so we have it. I also wanted to ask you about New Orleans as a Super Bowl city. It was a big
Yes.
topic this week. We've been there. We've had fun there. We've never been for
Yeah.
a Super Bowl. We've been for other things. People loved it. I'm saying New Orleans needs to be in the rotation every 4 years. I'm actually willing to kick some cities out to put them in there.
I think it's a great city. It's like a mini Vegas. You got all the drinking, all the bars. You got a casino right there, which is great. I love
Underrated.
this.
Right downtown, the casino.
Yeah, it's so easy to get to. It's great. Yeah, they should just pick the cities, but I get it. They want to like spread the wealth amongst all these other cities, and all these cities are building domes. Isn't Buffalo building a dome?
Yeah, but like you can't have the Super Bowl there. Like you still have to walk outside your hotel in February, right? Like they did it in Indianapolis and Detroit. Those had varying levels of success. I think we need to keep it in warm climates, a majority walkable places, entertainment places. So my 4, I want to make this a rotation of 4 cities, and we're kicking everyone else out. New Orleans, of course, Las Vegas, of course, huge success, the walkability. I've got rumors saying Nashville's getting one soon. That stadium, no one ever talks about it because the Titans are irrelevant. It's right on Broadway. It's right on Broadway Street at the end.
But
of
it's all the way
Broadway.
across the river.
Across the river. So it's like you just take the bridge. Like you drink all day, you take the bridge.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
close enough. Like New Orleans off Bourbon Street. I'm putting Miami in for the weather and how much fun South Beach in Miami is. It's very spread out in Miami.
Yeah.
Their stadium's also like in the suburbs. South Beach is like an hour away. That part's tough, but those are the 4 I'm keeping
You don't
in.
want
And the
LA?
ones I'm kicking out. Yeah, I'm kicking LA out.
Why not-
Kicking
why
San
not LA?
Francisco out. I'm kicking Atlanta out. I'm
Wow.
kicking Tampa out. The strip clubs will have to suffer without that business. And I'm kicking Phoenix out. I love Phoenix, but not for Super Bowl cities. LA, Mike, it's too spread out. It's like you might have one event downtown, one event on the west side, and one event at SoFi. You spend half your day commuting. You know that better than anyone.
But it is a stadium that can hold a shitload of people. It's the newest stadium. I feel like they're going to try to push more.
It's almost, to me, maybe to some people it's about the stadium. To me, it's about the city and the week. It's like these guys get in there the Monday before. They're there all week long. It needs to make sense across the board.
Do you want to talk some other NFL news since this is like the last week? I mean, are we done talking Super Bowl? Is there anything else you want to talk about the Super Bowl?
No, other than
No.
we made money. Mahomes lost money. It was a good night.
I think this was deliberate, but Aaron Rodgers is no longer playing with the Jets, and that came out Sunday morning, which I think was definitely deliberate, so no one could like make it news because now you have Super Bowl news. No one's going to talk about it.
This was very much Aaron Rodgers was Luka Doncic, and then the
Yeah.
Super Bowl week is Super Bowl week. It's like, just talk about me, please.
I have a list of a few teams that I thought could use them, and I just want to see the likelihood. Just give me a percentage chance of this team signing Rodgers, because Rodgers will be a free agent. He's not getting traded. You could just sign the man off the street and get him on your team. He's probably got 1 year left, so probably wants to be a team that's like currently ready to win a Super Bowl, possibly.
Ideally.
Yeah, ideally. So I'm going to go through some teams. I'm going to start with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
This one is gaining steam as of today. As of February 10th, a lot of Steelers buzz because the Rooneys, they don't want to bring Fields and Russell Wilson back. I don't know why they don't just bring Justin Fields back, but that's a different story. So maybe
might not be good.
they just say, this didn't work with either one. We're going to let them both go as free agents and bring in Rodgers. I'm going to put this at 40%. Pretty high here.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
I like it too. It does feel like a good fit. Just seems like it doesn't matter what quarterback's in there. He gets people to win games for him, and they have good defense. And you could say Russ and Aaron Rodgers comparable. Like they're both not able to run as much anymore.
They're both like poor leaders.
Yeah, it's a great fit. It's a great fit for Pittsburgh.
Well, I trust Mike Tomlin, honestly. Like he could make
too.
any locker room work. Even the George Pickens stuff like wasn't blowing up as big as it could have like with any other head coach. I feel like I trust Tomlin to figure out Rodgers in the locker room.
What do you think about the Raiders? Raiders, definitely not a team that can win a Super Bowl, but needs like that transitional slot to throw somebody in right now, and it could be a good spot for Aaron Rodgers.
Listen, Pete Carroll came back to the situation. Tom Brady's spending a lot of time as like the acting owner. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't think two of the league's all-time good guys want to deal with Aaron Rodgers. I'm putting this one very low at 1% for the Raiders. I actually think they're either going to move up in the draft for Shedeur Sanders or make a big run at Sam Darnold in free agency.
So I guess my next one, Tennessee, is a team that kind of wants to trade out of the first spot at this point, right? Those are all the rumors going on. Tennessee is going to trade out of that spot, maybe sign Aaron Rodgers if that's possible. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is a good fit in Tennessee? Because that team's not going anywhere. There's nothing left. Like there's pieces remaining on that team.
And that's why you said he should go to a playoff team. And I'm like thinking about the playoff teams. I'm thinking like the playoff teams don't want Aaron Rodgers. He might end up on a really shitty team like the Raiders or Titans because that's all he can do to continue his career. Maybe he retires if he doesn't like that setup. But I love that you mentioned the Titans. I'm putting them at 30%. This is a strong chance for me. And I'll tell you why. Listen, we are cooking 365 days a year on the Sports Hangover, Mike. And I was doing some research months ago on the Pat McAfee show, watching an Aaron Rodgers appearance, and he threw out how much he loves the area of Nashville, Tennessee. He just threw it out there.
It's a great area.
And it is. And I made note of it for free agency. You like Nashville? You trying to build a house there?
It is so nice. Like the city's great. The hockey stadium, middle of downtown.
It's right downtown. Stumble right in.
It's great.
From the honky tonk to hockey.
I love when cities are built for like people to walk around and do stuff. LA is not. We have neighborhoods that you can do that, but then you have to drive to another neighborhood to continue walking. So,
and that's why we don't have Super Bowls in LA anymore.
That's right. All right. What do you think about the Vikings? The Vikings might move on from Sam Darnold, maybe pay him. Does the rookie, is he able to play after the surgery? Like, is he going to be good? We don't know. Do they trade him or do they just sign Aaron Rodgers?
I like the FU factor that they would give to the Packers by bringing him in, even if he like didn't play and was just like trolling them on the sidelines as like the backup QB all year. And maybe he is a backup for a JJ McCarthy. I just don't think they want to bring in the drama. I think O'Connell is all about the culture. He's a really good coach. He's made inroads in a short amount of time. And McCarthy is bound to be that quarterback. When you take a guy as early as they do in the top 12 of the draft, you're going to start by your second year.
Yeah, but it just seems like they had such a good run with Sam Darnold. It's like, why wouldn't you just run it back with them? So,
well, Darnold's going to make like $300 million. They paid him $11 million this year. That's why you wouldn't.
All right, what about the Browns? Browns need a quarterback. Jameis is a free agent. Jameis, by the way, Jameis needs to be on TV. That man is built for TV.
So entertaining.
Everything he does is just fun. He's just having a fun time. And he needs to be on TV if he does not get signed this year.
I was actually thinking about this, Mike. TV contracts have gotten so crazy where I think he might make more next year, like this coming year, on one of the desks with one of the networks, like $10 million a year, because he's been getting like $8 million a year as a quarterback every year. It's like not bad money, but if you can make more and like show up 2 days a week instead of 7 days a week, it makes sense. And like we all agree, he'd be a better broadcaster than quarterback too.
Did Fox pay him to do all that? Was it all Fox broadcast?
It looked like just some small social videos, right? Like him doing stuff around New Orleans. He used to play there for Fox. Yeah.
Like more for the NFL. Because I was thinking, who needs a little spice up? I feel like CBS, boring show. They don't
so boring.
they don't have a Terry on Fox. Like Terry brings that action. They need a Jameis on CBS football mornings because that would bring it.
Honestly, I was thinking about that too. How Fox has been like loading up with all the Edelmans
Yeah.
and the Gronks. Like they have young talent. CBS brought in like Matt Ryan, who's so boring. JJ
So
Watt, who's pretty boring. Bill
Yeah.
Cowher, who's been there for 30 years. Like, what are you
Yeah.
guys doing?
Yeah, a little Jameis would help. All right, what about, I like this one, a homecoming. We didn't even talk about the Browns, but we could just disregard the Browns. Probably not going to go.
I'll put 5% on the Browns. I think they're going to go for a rookie.
Okay, what about a homecoming here for Aaron Rodgers, going back to the Bay Area because he's a cowboy, not a cowboy, but a Cal Berkeley.
Bear. He's a Cal Bear.
Yeah, Cal Bear, not a cowboy. Go to the 49ers, maybe help out, Brock Purdy a little bit, be there, maybe take him to the Super Bowl, show Brock how it's all done. You could still sign Brock to a contract and sign Rodgers to a 1-year deal and just be like, hey, we're going to make a Super Bowl run. You're going to learn from the best. And next year, you'll still be our quarterback.
Mike, you just nailed where Aaron Rodgers is going.
Definitely.
The revelation just happened. He's going to San Francisco. He's
He is.
going home. Cal is close by. It's in his roots. He's not going to want to pay the taxes that California has. But hey, California is becoming a right-leaning state after
That's
these
right.
fires. So
Yeah.
he's going to fit right in the new state.
I'm pushing the movement.
But there's one difference. Brock, you are pushing it hard. Brock Purdy isn't going to be there. The Niners are going to let that man walk. Why are they going
No.
to pay Brock Purdy? If you can just pay Aaron Rodgers, why pay both? What Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be their backup there. He's going to come in and he wants to play, and he's probably better than Brock Purdy, as I've been saying all year.
Listen, I don't think he's better, but we do know that Shanahan loves quarterbacks. He loves going through quarterbacks. And why not just sign an Aaron Rodgers to a 1-year deal? This man's what is he going to be? 40, 41? Somewhere around there?
Yeah, I think he's getting younger this week in Costa Rica. He's actually going through the ayahuasca process to improve him for next year. He's going to come out and know where he wants to play, apparently.
I like the 49ers. Just say, sign me to the minimum contract. I'm going to go win a Super Bowl. And if I do win a Super Bowl, give me, a $10 million bonus or something.
I love this, Mike. Kyle Shanahan doesn't keep quarterbacks more than 2 years.
No.
He's had his 2 years with Purdy. Time to move on, bring in Aaron Rodgers. This should have happened years ago when Rodgers first left the Packers. We messed around with the whole Jets thing. He was always destined for California. I love that one.
I have one. This is like the dark horse, but what about the Colts? They don't love Anthony Richardson. Can't really play football in a way. He's a great. He can throw the ball
Is that
really
an issue
far.
for him?
He can throw the ball really far, not accurately enough. He's a big body dude, but he just doesn't get it. And I think Aaron Rodgers could really mold Anthony Richardson. And I think in a way, Anthony would be down for a little bit of coaching up, following the pro, following a great quarterback. This might be a good fit. Colts are always weird. I mean, every year you're just like, what do the Colts, why are they doing this? They have a good running back, and then it's like, oh, well, who cares? Like, what about this guy? What about this guy? They don't really care what goes on there. So I feel like this would be a wild spot for Aaron Rodgers.
I love the placement on the Colts. The Colts don't really know what they're doing. Richardson might not be the guy. You can't really roll into the season with him again after the last 2 seasons. Rodgers is just wild card enough to fit in there. So sure, I'll give you the Colts. But that man, one thing we learned about his time with the Jets, and we knew all along, he's not mentoring. He's not a good leader. Remember when he left training camp and unexcused absence? He's not there to help anybody. So I wouldn't put that into the situation.
Yeah, he was not. He's not a good team leader. But all right, do we want to talk about Super Bowl 60 next year's Super Bowl?
Yes.
In San Francisco.
Yes.
What's your vibe? Who are you thinking? Who's a team that you could see making it there? Because I might have my next MVP selection ready to go this year. There's no odds out right now, but I did nail Josh Allen as MVP, and I'm gonna pull that tape.
That just came out last week. You had a long-term bet on that. You made that bet in what, August of this past year?
I think it was July. We did all our shows in July.
When we sat in that room
Yeah.
you're in and we did all of our preview episodes. Yeah. Wow. I nailed Sam Darnold and you nailed Josh Allen. We were all over it. Comeback player of the year. No, I think that was Joe Burrow, actually. And then
that
MVP
was
Josh Allen. Why were people up in arms? Why was there controversy about Allen winning? I thought he was destined to win all season.
I just think if you're voting for somebody that actually is the MVP, you can't say Lamar was, because he has a man behind him that is built like a goddamn bulldozer.
Yeah.
Lamar, it has talent around him. Josh didn't have anybody. He didn't have that stud that's oh yeah, you're the number one guy. It was Josh Allen on the team, and I'm sure if you asked a random person on the street, they could not name any other player on the Bills. But if you ask anybody for the Ravens, I'm sure they could name 2 people on that team, and it was Lamar and Derrick Henry.
2 things on Josh Allen. One is it's great that he beat Lamar in the playoffs. That could be a great tiebreaker for this type of award. I know we're supposed to like vote during the season or whatever, but like what a great tiebreaker. Who wins in the playoffs? Who advances further? And Josh did that. And then the second thing is Josh Allen. Why didn't they beat the Chiefs a few weeks ago in the AFC Championship game? If this is the Chiefs as we now understand them, struggling, not a good offensive line, not as good of many weapons as we're used to having, defense not as good. Why didn't Josh Allen take advantage of that? Remember how bad he played in that game? He was nervous. He was throwing the ball up for grabs. It's almost like if Josh locked in for 3 hours that one day, it was probably Eagles, Bills. It's like, dude, you had your chance.
Yeah, I know. But I like that he got MVP. I didn't know they were going to publicly release everybody that voted on everybody, but somebody put him fourth, Lamar. Put Lamar fourth, and they were all pissed at him for putting him fourth.
Was that you?
It was not me. I wish we could vote. There's not many people that vote on it. I think there's like 40 people that vote on it.
Okay, that's good. For baseball, it's like every writer, it's like 700 writers voting for the Hall of Fame, and then like everyone makes the Hall of Fame because like there's writers from every city, so like you vote your guy in, and it's a mess. So at least football is keeping people out, like keeping Eli Manning out, which I totally agree. It's like that man is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's not Tom Brady, so let's just keep him a little separate.
All right. Well, I mean, we're on the topic MVP, but I'm going to throw out my early MVP. I don't know if this is going to happen. I want to see what the odds are, but I do want to throw out Burrow because I think Burrow is a guy that feels like if he can just get that September issue under control where he sucks and actually plays better.
That's in the manifesto. I've educated you on that.
I know. Yeah, you have. If he can play better in September and actually come out and win some games, his record would be better. His stats would be better. Everything would be better. And I think he would be in the conversation to take that team there. And I know he has Chase, but I think he could be a guy that could get it because it can't just go back to Lamar. Like Lamar can't win it again, can he?
Yeah, he definitely can, especially if the Ravens have another great season. The thing is, I don't know. I don't know how good the Bills and Josh Allen are going to be in this new season. I don't know.
All right, so do you have anybody that you kind of like top of mind that could be possible?
It's hard. You're not going to like this one. Caleb Williams is getting an offensive head coach. I'm sorry, I laughed as I said it. He's getting Ben Johnson. I mean, he's getting the legend.
No.
Caleb Williams.
Okay, we can
Bo Nix has year 2 with Sean. I'm looking for some underdogs here, some smaller odds. It's hard. Free agency has to happen. The thing about Burrow, I love what you're saying about Burrow. The issue is T. Higgins is a free agent. Yep. And will they replace him? Will they bring anyone in? They lost Boyd last year. That hurt them a little bit. You can't keep losing guys. You need someone opposite of Chase. Devontae Adams is a free agent. Could they bring in Adams? Could they keep Higgins? Let's see how the offseason looks before we place that bet.
Okay. Then let's talk Super Bowl. I don't know if you have anybody on top of mind, but I'm looking at like San Francisco or Cincinnati.
Aaron Rodgers leading the Niners to the Super Bowl in their home stadium.
That's 16-1, or you got the Chargers at 25-1.
Herbert's not a winner, no.
No, I don't think so either. But
the Lions, they're due, right? Like they should have been there this year. Lions and Commanders are 2 teams in NFC. Like.
If you like Lions and Commanders, Lions are plus 850 and Commanders are 16-1. So that's pretty good. Kind of good slot there, but I don't know. I mean, the Commanders looked really good, but I just don't. I feel like this might be kind of like a what's it called? The Houston
regression. Stroud kind of a second year struggle. I think Daniels goes the same way. Daniels was so good, but Stroud was so good his rookie year. You're right.
I think so because I think people figured him out. They have a lot of tape on him now. They can go back, kind of watch a little bit, and just kind of just a little regression.
Listen, my Super Bowl pick this year was Packers, Bengals, Love and Burrow. Both of them underwhelmed, and so it's like I'm sitting here and telling you I don't know who I'm going to pick yet. Like those guys underwhelmed. That can't go back to that well, but those are 2 teams that could easily be there too.
Do you think Houston right now is at plus 4,000? So I think that's 40 to 1. If you think the Vikings sign Sam Darnold, does that move up? Does that go up to like 18-1 if Sam Darnold?
The Vikings are 40 to 1 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they were almost there this year, but I don't think they're going to sign him. I don't think you draft J.J. McCarthy. You can't give out a $200 million contract unless they trade McCarthy for like a first-round pick. They
can't franchise him, or was he franchised last year? Sam Darnold.
Darnold was not franchised, but I think he was on a 1-year deal, so you can't franchise the next year. Him. Yeah.
Well, that's all I got. That's it. The end of the football season. We'll be back next week, though. We'll have more content.
Are you sure? You want to come back?
I think. Well, it's President's Day. I always question if we're going to be here.
Oh yeah, it's a holiday. Maybe we'll push it back. Push it back a few days next week. Mike doesn't get days off, but some do. Listen, I want to mention before we go, just real quick. it's NBA season and I'm doing my job. I went to an NBA game in Brooklyn on Friday
Whoa.
night. I went in
Whoa.
person because it's
Whoa.
like, Mike, the podcast is like, we got to keep talking about stuff. It's
I
like
know.
the Luka trade. I was looking at rosters. I was like, oh, I got to go see the Heat when they're in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So went down there, checked them out. I'm getting into NBA season. I'm getting in now.
Okay.
February is NBA season around here on this podcast.
Okay, well, we'll start watching some NBA. We talked Luka last week, and we'll see what happens. AD's already hurt.
He's
so
already
that's
hurt,
great.
as
Yeah.
everyone expected. So
Great for
and
the
death
Mavs.
threats against the Mavericks GM. So stay
No
home,
way.
buddy. Yeah,
Really?
you didn't see
Wow.
that?
I didn't see that.
He can't go to games right now because there's death threats against him.
Oh, that's great. All right.
He did it to himself.
Good show. Check us out. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to us there. YouTube.com/Sports Hangover. If you want, follow us on Substack. You get a whole written the dialogue of all our shows. It's
Love
kind of
that.
great.
It's really cool. It's so easy. It's in your inbox every morning. Please subscribe to
great.
the Substack, and you don't have to do anything else.
Yeah, it's easy. I love the email. Sometimes it's easier than like going to the podcast player because you
Yeah,
can play it right from your
comes to
browser.
you.
Just pop it
Exactly.
up, play it. It's easy.
Love that.
All right, good show. See you.
Did you win anything other than